Hello everyone, welcome to your very first ICSE 10 biology session. This is Amirash, your biology educator at the airport. I hope that all my dear students are doing absolutely amazing and they are staying very healthy and happy in this lockdown period. So people, welcome to your ICSE session. I had been getting so much of requests that please start ICSE. So that's why now finally we are beginning with ICSE class 10th biology. And the chapter that we're going to cover is the circulatory system, the first part. And this is my personal favorite chapter, and it will be my responsibility to make it your personal favorite as well. So the name of the chapter, as you know, it is the circulatory system. We will be learning about heart, about blood vessels, the working of heart, the limbs, and a lot of things. And I will be making sure that you are gonna get full marks in your board exams. Okay? So today specifically we'll be focusing on blood and blood groups. This is the main agenda for today, but still the subtopics also I will be telling you in a minute. But before that, let me tell you circulatory system is, I think, your chapter 8, and it is very important from your examination perspective. So please learn things which I am telling you, and you can even download the notes from the description box. Okay guys, so let's look at the agenda, the topics that we'll be covering today. Number one, we'll be understanding the functions of blood and as well as its importance, that why the blood is even there and what is the importance of it. Then the components of blood, okay? Mechanism of clotting, very important, that we'll be discussing, and ABO blood group system. This is also very important, that how do you get your blood group, how is it named, as well as we'll be understanding RH system. I forgot to mention. Okay, along with that we'll also be discussing the RH system. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So first of all, we'll be understanding the circulatory system. So what do you understand by this term, circulatory system? If you are able to see this figure, you are able to see the heart and the different blood vessels, but we wouldn't be going in depth. That just understand they are going to circulate something. Circulation, or you can even call it as transportation. Okay, transportation of what? Of food, oxygen, as well as excretory products. Okay, these three are going to be transported, but how, that we will be learning. But for now, just understand that this is going to be there for your transportation purpose. Clear? Now moving to the three units of circulatory system. What are they? The different three units. Number one is your fluid components. What are your fluid components? Blood and lymph, which is the main thing of the circulatory system. In blood only everything is embedded into, isn't it? Then we have the heart, very important, and its functioning is to pump the blood, pumping of blood. This is the main function of heart. We will be discussing in detail, do not worry. And blood vessels. What are the blood vessels? You already know: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Okay, these are the blood vessels we will be discussing in the next class in detail. Okay, so fluid components, heart, and blood vessels. These, when they are together, then we call it a circulatory system. They combine to form the circulatory system. Okay, now first let's try to understand about blood. Okay, so we all know that our blood is a fluid connective tissue. In your 9th class you must have read about tissues, and it is fluid connective tissue. It is liquid and it connects, that performs several important functions in the body. So it is like a very important person for our body, a VIP for our body, because it has to do a lot. It is going to perform several important functions in our body, and one of the most important function, what is that? Who's going to tell me? So that was my question, and now let's get the answer. We will be understanding some of the basic functions of blood. All right, so number one, The main function of blood is transportation of respiratory gases. In the GIF also you are able to see, which is this scene? Who's gonna let me know? Okay, yeah, this scene is of your alveolus, or you can say alveoli, this scene. And we already know that our alveoli is richly supplied with blood vessels, or you can say blood capillaries, okay, which are very thin walled, and here the gaseous exchange is going to take place. Okay, the oxygen which is present in the alveoli is going to diffuse to the blood capillaries, and the blood capillaries are going to take the carbon dioxide with them, and that will diffuse to the alveoli so that it can be again released out of the body through the trachea and then nasal passage that you have already studied in respiration. So blood, what is it doing? It is transporting the respiratory gases that we already know. That is your oxygen, carbon dioxide. These are the two important gases. Carbon dioxide is generally soluble in blood, that's why it is there in dissolved form. And oxygen, we already know, it combines with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, which is present in the RBC. That we will be reading, do not worry. If you're not understanding, wait, we will be learning about it. Now the second function of blood is to transport nutrients. Nutrients, if you could remember the villi, did you remember? See, villi is sorry, a place, the site where absorption takes place, right? So you are able to see, as we saw, this is the scene of alveoli, and this is also supplied with blood vessels. This is also richly connected with blood vessels. So the blood vessels are going to carry nutrients to different parts of the body. Okay, so transportation of nutrients, transportation of respiratory gases. Okay, and those nutrients we already know, they can be glucose, amino acids, we have read now the end products, glycerol, okay, that we already know. Now the next is transports excretory material. Now kidneys are not going to occupy it directly, like the excretory material will say, kidneys, I'm coming, and directly it is there. No, the blood, that is going to transport this excretory material. Okay, and that we will be learning in our excretory system. Do not forget to watch that. After this, I most probably will be doing excretory system only. That is present in that. So here you are able to see both the kidneys. So the excretory material is reached to the kidneys with the help of blood vessels. Okay, renal artery, renal vein, you must be knowing about it, but we will be learning in detail in the next chapter, the excretory system. As well as blood has the job to transport the hormones, because hormones are secreted into the blood. And if you're able to see this image, it is actually of a very high level. Let's not go deeper, but it has the job to transport the hormones to their target cells, okay, where they're going to reach. Clear? Now I hope these functions are clear, but now let's look into some other functions as well. Regulates the body temperature, very, very important. Blood helps us to regulate our body temperature. It also maintains water ion balance in the body, so that the balance of water as well as ions remains balanced, as well as it provides immunity. And who is the Shahenshah behind this immunity? Yes, WBCs. You know, they are behind. But we will be discussing them just after a minute. So these 3 points you have to learn. I have shown you a lot of things related to it. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now let's move to the components of blood. So what are the components of blood? The components of blood are plasma, platelets, RBCs, WBCs. Learn with me. Plasma, platelets, red blood cells, white blood cells. Okay, now let's get into the depth of these components of blood. What are they exactly? Now first of all, let's learn about plasma. That what is this plasma? See, plasma is the fluid part of the blood. and through this you are able to understand about 55% of the blood is your plasma, which is the fluidy part. Okay, then now what does it contain? That is important. Number one, it is going to contain water, inorganic salts, and proteins. Number one, water, because how will you remember? It is fluid, so it will have some water, and you are able to see the color is yellow, like urine becomes yellow when there are inorganic salts, so you can remember. As well as proteins. Okay, that's why this is yellowish color is there. And it helps transport gases, nutrients, regulates body heat, maintains. So right now we were learning about these functions, this, everything we were learning. This happens in your plasma only. How? How does it happen? Have you ever thought? In your plasma only, because this is the fluid part. Other are solid. So it is going to carry everything. The gases, the nutrients. It is also going to regulate body heat and maintaining the blood pH. Okay. Now, this is about plasma, the fluidy substance. What about other substances? Now, this slide is very important. I would request you to take a screenshot. Now we are moving on to the cellular elements. Now just imagine if in the laboratory we have this blood. You already know that blood is a colloid. Okay, so the blood cells wouldn't be clearly visible to you. By the naked eye we are unable to see, but they are not dissolved also. Okay, they are insoluble. Clear? So you also might be knowing to separate out colloids. We generally use a process known as centrifugation. Which process do we use? It is known as centrifugation, in which we are going to rotate it and churn it. Okay, so that the denser particles will be forced to settle at the bottom and lighter particles will stay at the top. So here lighter is definitely going to be your plasma. That's why it is at the top. And denser are the components of blood which have settled over here at the bottom. But what are they? Let's understand that. Now we have got these. These are going to be your components of blood. So number one, the first component of blood that we'll be learning about is your erythrocytes. Remember people, erythro in biology means red. So erythrocytes are going to be your red blood cells. And leuco in biology is going to mean white. So leukocytes will be your WBCs, white blood cells. But first let's understand about RBCs, that is your erythrocytes. First thing, that how much red blood cells do we have? This is per mm cube, or you can say microliter of blood. We have 5 to 6 million RBCs. And because of these RBCs only our blood gets a reddish color. Along with oxygen, hemoglobin and oxygen, when they combine, then it gives a deep red color. You should remember the number and the functions. What are the functions of RBCs? Transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide, because we already know oxygen is going to bind with hemoglobin and then it is going to be carried to different parts of the body which are deficient in oxygen, which need oxygen. And carbon dioxide, that generally what happens, carbon dioxide is carried to the lungs in the dissolved form because it is soluble in your blood plasma. So it is carried in this manner, but your erythrocytes have the affinity to even carry the carbon dioxide. So do not think that they can do a lot of things. So their main function is to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. Clear? Now WBCs, which are also known as leukocytes, their number is 5,000 to 10,000 per microliter of blood, or per mm cube of blood. Now there are various WBCs like basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils. So you are able to see they are granulated. They have granules. Are you able to see? And these lymphocytes and monocytes, they have a very huge nucleus. And with this nucleus, I also come to know, I also want to tell you that RBCs, they are red in color, but there is no nucleus in RBCs. Why do you think? The answer to this is nucleus can be a hindrance in their work. See, because they have to transport oxygen, carbon dioxide, they need more area. And if nucleus is going to be there, it is going to occupy a lot of area, which will become a hindrance for the RBCs. That's why there is no nucleus. But in WBCs, nucleus is there. Okay. And what is the main function? They are the soldiers of your body. They have the defense mechanism. Okay, so they have the defense mechanism, as well as they provide us with immunity. Okay, so if a foreign substance enters, then WBCs are going to fight with that substance and will protect your body. So I can say that WBCs are your soldiers. Learn by this. Clear? And sometimes when we are having an infection, if a pathogen invades our body, then the WBCs increase in number. Generally, the number is 5,000 to 10,000, but at that time, the WBCs are going to increase in number. That is why the body temperature becomes high. Okay, now coming to platelets. See, one more thing. Wait a second. Yeah, let me change the color. You should know that platelets are also known as thrombocytes. Okay, platelets are also known as thrombocytes, and their number ranges from 250,000 to 400,000. Clear? And what is their main function? Their main function is blood clotting. Clotting of blood. Let's say if you get a cut, then what is going to happen? Blood is going to flow. So these platelets, they're going to rush to that place and they're going to clot the blood. The blood which is oozing out of your skin, that will be stopped there, so that there is less loss of blood from your body. But then you will ask me that within 2 lines you have completed the mechanism of platelets. Is it very long or just a matter of seconds? Let's understand that the mechanism of blood clotting by platelets. Wait, that how do they manage to do this? See, number one, there are some clotting factors, okay, which are going to help the blood to be clotted. Now see, if you have any blood vessel and that gets damaged, or if you get a cut, then only it is going to bleed. So as soon as the platelets will get to know that somewhere there is a cut and blood is flowing, they're going to rush to that place. They're going to say, oh, we are on charge. Rush to that place. They will rush to the place where the blood vessel has been damaged, and the injury to vessel lining triggers the release of clotting factor. Then what happens? The injury, it triggers the release of some clotting factors. These clotting factors are going to help in blood clotting. Okay, these clotting factors. After that, the second step is formation of platelet pugs. So what happens? Vasoconstriction limits blood flow and platelets form a sticky plug. Together they join and form a sticky plug. So that vasoconstriction means the overflow of blood. That is going to be limited. Okay, that they are going to limit the flow of blood and they are going to make this platelet plug a sticky plug. Okay, and after that, when they are going to join to form this, then they are going to make a clot. So you're able to understand this. What happens? This clotting factor trigger this prothrombin, a protein, an enzyme, to convert into thrombin. Okay, and afterwards, through this, a soluble enzyme, fibrinogen, is going to be converted into fibrin. Okay, but this is not of that importance. You should just know this: prothrombin to thrombin, fibrinogen to fibrin, because of clotting factors. And finally, this fibrin will help to clot the blood. So in this manner, blood clotting takes place. I hope that's clear. Now there is a situation for you. Just think and let me know that a car accident has occurred. The driver is hurt and people rush her to a nearby hospital. Doctors notice that there has been bad loss of blood. Blood transfusion is necessary. What do you think the next steps would be? Just read this and try to understand. If you have any such, but you can say a tragedy, then what are you gonna be doing? An accident. What your steps are gonna be? Definitely, blood transfusion means donation, because there is a loss of blood. Let me change my orientation so that I can just explain you. Okay, so blood transfusion is gonna mean donation of blood. Somebody has to donate the blood. And why would any person need to donate? Because there is a loss of blood. There is loss of blood, and this has to be compensated by donation of blood. So that driver also has to be donated. Somebody is going to donate the blood to that driver as well. Okay. Now, first of all, we'll be identifying the victim's blood group. Even you think if your family member suffers with an accident, first thing you will be identifying the blood group of that person. Correct? But then you will again, in biology, we have a lot of questions. What are these blood groups? See, blood groups are complex chemical systems found on the surface of blood cells. So they are some chemical systems and they are found on the surface of blood cells, RBC specifically. Okay. Now we'll be understanding the naming, or you can say nomenclature, of blood group. That how you got your blood group and how your parents got, how to name, how to identify which person has which kind of a blood group. What do you think, guys? See, try to understand very nicely. Your focus should be here. Blood groups are named on the basis of the type of antigen present on the RBC. Let me change my orientation because it is really very, very important for you to understand, and please understand it very well. What is an antigen? It is, you can say, it is something which is going to trigger antibodies to form. Antibodies, you know, when a foreign substance enters, then these antibodies are formed. So we can say antigen can be a foreign substance which enters your body and your body cannot recognize that substance, and that's why it is going to think maybe it can harm us. And that's why these antibodies are formed to fight against this antigen. Okay, so that is your antigen, but in this case, it is your natural antigen. Here the antibodies won't be formed because it is there in your body since you're born. So definitely it will be identifiable. But then what is this? Understand, this antigen is your natural antigen which is present on the surface of your RBC, on your red blood cells. This antigen is present. So if you have a antigen here is, you can say, a glycoprotein. Okay, glycoprotein. So if you have a antigen, it means your blood group is A. You belong to the blood group A. Clear? If you have B antigen, it means you belong to the blood group B. It is a type of antigen, okay, type of glycoprotein or a natural substance. If you have A and B, both antigens are there, then your blood group is going to be AB. And if you do not have any antigen on your surface of red blood cells, then your blood group is going to be O. So there are 4 cases. Either your blood group can be, either your blood group can be A, B, AB, or O. So in O, you can say the surface of RBCs is smooth. That's why there is no antigen. Clear? So these are the 4 types of groups that we have. Now, wait a second. Just a second, guys. Yeah, now we'll be understanding about antibodies. What are they and what is their role? See, antibodies are protective proteins produced by the immune system in response to the presence of a foreign substance, generally called antigens. So the foreign substances are known as antigen, and in response to their presence, if they invade our body, then our immune system is going to generate some protective proteins that are going to fight against that antigen. Okay, and this is found in the blood plasma. Antibodies are always found in the blood plasma, remember. You can download these notes and study nicely. Okay, third point, recognize and bind to antigens to remove latter from the body. So what they do, they recognize the antigen. Okay, this is the culprit. Then what are they going to do? They're going to bind with that and remove the latter. Here latter is your antigen. And they're going to remove it from the body. Chalo, your time's up, go. They're like this. So that's why antibodies are very, very important as well. Now, very, very important, very crucial topic, and I want 100% attention right now. It is very important. Please. VIT, very important topic, ABO system. You have to understand it very well so that you can relate. Now just try to understand that if you have red blood, suppose if you have a antigen on your red blood cell, just imagine, okay, like I'm taking my example, my blood group is A positive. I will be talking about positive negative a little bit later, but first of all you have to understand that on your red blood cell, suppose if you have A antigen, then which antibodies will be formed in your plasma? I've already shown the answer, but why do you think which antibodies? Definitely anti-B, antibody B. Why? Why do you think this is gonna even happen? See, if you have A antigen in your red blood cell, and if you are going to have you can say antibodies, then what is going to happen? Your antibodies will be against that group. Getting it? What am I trying to explain you? You have A antigen, clear? And this is B. It means if a foreign substance, which is B, okay, a B antigen is entering your body, then it is going to fight with it. Okay, as you have A antigen, so it should recognize it, isn't it? So if you have here, if you have A, then it is going to make antibodies against your natural antigen only. Okay. Similarly, if you have B antigen on your red blood cells, so you have antibodies anti-A. So that if an antigen which is A is going to enter your body, so this is going to fight with it. Because you already have B, so if B enters, nothing is going to happen because your body already identifies it, right? Your body can easily identify, isn't it? But because see, if you have A antigen and A antigen enters, it means your body is able to recognize because it is already there. But if antigen B enters, then your body will find it as, you can say, an intruder. That's why we have anti-B, remember please, in the antibodies. And here also, if you have B antigen, it means if an antigen B is going to enter your body, then your body can easily recognize that because it has in its own body as well. But if A antigen enters, then what is going to happen? If by mistake this A antigen enters, then this A anti-A is going to fight with it. Okay, now next, if you have your blood group as AB, both antigens are present, so even if A enters, even if B enters, it would recognize. That's why there is no need of any antibodies. Okay, because your blood group already recognizes them. Am I making myself clear? And if you don't have any antigens on your red blood cells, the O group that you have, then you are going to have both anti-A, anti-B. Because if AB enters your body, then your body won't be able to recognize. So that's why it is going to produce antibodies against it. So this is something which we call as ABO system. Why? Because you have three blood groups are there, A, B and O, and the combination of both of them becomes AB. So that's why this is your ABO system. Please read it carefully and just understand. Okay, I've tried to make it super clear. Now we are moving on to the RH system, which is equally important. What is your RH system? Please understand your RH system is your rhesus factor. What is the rhesus factor? Let me change my color, that's why I'm looking that side. See, rhesus factor is an inherited protein found on the surface of red blood cells. Rh plus indicates that this protein is present and Rh minus indicates the absence of this protein. So let me change my orientation this side. Wait, yeah. Okay, now what you have to understand in this, let me change the pen. See, Rh positive, Rh negative. Now we read about the ABO system, but then you also know that either you will have A, if you are belonging to the A antigen, if your red blood cell has A antigen, then your blood group can either be A positive or A negative. But how do we know if it is going to be A positive or A negative? That is gonna be based on the Rh factor. See, if the Rh factor is going to be present, then you will have, so if it is present, then you will have positive. Getting it? And if it is absent, then you will be getting, just a second. Okay, if it is absent, then what happened? You will be getting negative. Here also it has been written. So here it has been written, if this protein is present, then it is going to be Rh positive. If it is absent, then Rh negative. Okay. Okay. Before moving to the blood blood group compatibility. What is that? Sorry, I am pronouncing compatibility. I would like to tell you something. So just focus here to change my orientation again, because it's really very, very important for you to understand. Now class, just try to understand. Suppose if you have a blood group, let's say O negative. So what do you understand by this group? It means number one, you won't be having any antigen. Okay, as we read here, the people who are having O blood group is not going to have any antigen. So no antigen is present. No antigen, as well as it is not going to have the Rh factor, that is a rhesus factor, because it is negative. It means the factor is also absent. So your blood cell will look like this, empty. And if it is present, then it is somewhat in this like sun rays type. So you can understand that. So you are able to understand it is having no antigen, no Rh factor. It means if you want to donate, if somebody has to donate the blood, then what are the conditions necessary? Tell me. Chalo, let's talk about it a little bit later, but right now what you have to understand is that O negative blood group is universal donor. This is known as universal donor, which means if a person is going to have blood group as O negative, that person can donate his blood to any person. Okay, any person having any blood group. Why? This is the question. Let me give you the answer. So you already know that there are no antigens. Okay, no antigens as well as no Rh factors. It means if the blood is donated to any person, then it wouldn't form any antibodies because there is nothing. So there will be like no antigen entering. It means your body will easily accept it. That's why it is known as your universal donor. Then which blood group is going to be your universal recipient? Universal donor, we talked about it, that is your O negative. But then what is your universal recipient? Think about it, and I'll be telling you the answer in 3, 2, 1. It is AB positive. Okay, this blood group is going to can receive the blood from any of the person. Now just understand, if any person is going to have AB blood group, it means he has A and B antigens. Okay, Both the antigens are present, as well as he is going to have Rh factor. So if any blood group enters, his body will be able to recognize, because his body also has the same things, same natural antigens. Suppose if a B positive person is going to give the blood, then B is also there. Yes, Rh factor is there, or of course. So that's why this person can receive from any of the person. So this was something which I wanted to make super clear. I hope it was. And if the orientation was not fine, then sorry for that. Okay. Clear RH system. Now something very important, that is your, which I explained you just now, blood group compatibility. That, like in this situation, if you could see, you can see the conclusion was to transfuse the blood. But then if suppose that girl's blood group was O positive, then who all could donate? If she is going to have O positive, she could only receive from O negative and O positive. Why? Why do you think this would happen? See, because if that girl has a blood group of O positive, it means she is having no antigens first thing. No antigens are present, but Rh factor is present. But if any person of blood group A, B or AB is going to give, the patient's person is not going to recognize those antigens, because neither it has A nor B. So it can only take from O positive and O negative. How O negative? Because in O negative, it is the universal donor. It can donate to anyone. Okay, and O positive because this is the same blood group, so same antigens and Rh factor. So I wouldn't go in depth of each and every blood. You can just read and just tell me which is your blood group and which is the factors in your blood group. Okay, like suppose A negative can give to them but receive from these only. Okay, just how do you what is the main concept? If you want to give the blood, it means whatever factors and antigens are present in your blood group should be present in the patient's blood group also, so that the patient is going to recognize, the immune system is not going to produce any antibodies. Okay, and if you have to receive, then the person who is donating should have those Rh factors and antigens which you are having, so that there is no kind of confusion at all. Okay, so you can read it once and then you can easily understand it. Now if you have any doubt regarding today's session, you can write in the comment section. In the comments you may let me know all your doubts, and I will be taking them in the doubts plus mentee session. Now a homework question for all of you that you have to let me know in the comment. What would have happened if an Rh negative mother bears an Rh positive fetus? So you have Rh negative mother who is going to bear Rh positive fetus, and the blood group is not specified. It can be A also, B also, AB also, O also. But mother's blood group is A negative, B negative, any of the negatives. But if the mother is going to have a Rh positive fetus, then what is going to happen? What are the consequences? You have to let me know in the comment section. Okay, thank you so much for attending my session. I hope you enjoyed. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. And now it's time to say goodbye. Bye bye, take care.